You're 6 years old. The sound of rain wakes you up, not because it's loud, but because it's falling onto your face. Water drips through the cracked roof of your tiny house. Your mother quietly places another old bucket under the leak. It isn't the first bucket. It won't be the last. Your home has only one room, one bed, one light bulb that works only when the electricity doesn't go out. 4 people. One dream. Your father leaves before sunrise every morning. You rarely see him eat breakfast. By the time you wake up, he's already walking to the construction site. Every evening, he returns covered in dust. His shirt is soaked with sweat. His hands are rough. His back hurts. But he still smiles when he sees you. Not because life is easy, but because you're the reason he keeps going. One night, you hear your parents talking after they think you've fallen asleep. We don't have enough money for school books. We still owe the landlord. What if one of us gets sick? The room becomes silent. Your mother begins to cry. Your father doesn't. He simply stares at the floor. You close your eyes. For the first time, you realize your family isn't just poor. They're surviving. The next morning, you walk to school. Your shoes are too small. The soles have holes. Every puddle soaks your socks. Other children laugh. Some wear brand new backpacks. Some arrive in cars. You carry your books inside a plastic shopping bag. At lunch, you tell your classmates you're not hungry. The truth is, there wasn't enough food at home this morning. You drink water instead. It fills your stomach. But not for long. Years pass. Nothing changes. Your father works harder. Your mother sacrifices more. Yet somehow, there's always another bill waiting, another problem, another impossible decision. Then, one afternoon, everything changes. Your father doesn't come home. Hours pass. Your mother keeps looking outside. Finally, someone knocks on the door. It's one of your father's co-workers. There was an accident. A heavy steel beam collapsed. Your father survived, but he'll never be able to do heavy labor again. The family's only source of income disappears overnight. That night, your mother quietly sells her wedding jewelry. It isn't enough. A week later, the television is gone. Then the refrigerator. Then almost everything else. Eventually, you leave the house because the rent can no longer be paid. You move into an even smaller place. No furniture, no privacy, just survival. You're 13 years old now. School no longer feels important. Your family needs money, not next year, not next month, today. So after school, you begin working. You wash dishes, carry boxes, clean tables, deliver groceries, anything someone is willing to pay for. At the end of your first week, your boss hands you a small envelope. Inside is the first money you've ever earned. It's not much. Most people would spend it without thinking. But you don't. You run home. You place every dollar into your mother's hands. She stares at it for a few seconds. Then she hugs you tighter than ever before. Neither of you says a word. You don't have to. For the first time, you're helping carry the weight your father carried alone for so many years. From that day forward, childhood ends. Every morning begins with school. Every afternoon becomes work. Every night ends with exhaustion. While other teenagers dream about vacations, you dream about paying next month's rent. While your friends play football after class, you're stacking boxes inside a warehouse. Life isn't fair. You've accepted that. But deep inside, a question keeps repeating itself. Will I spend my entire life working just to survive? One evening, while sweeping the floor after closing time, you notice something strange. The owner of the small grocery store walks in. He spends less than 30 minutes inside. He checks a few numbers, talks to suppliers, collects the day's cash, then leaves in a luxury SUV. You freeze. You've been working 12 hours. He's been here for 20 minutes. Yet he earns more in a single day than you make in months. That night, You can't sleep. For the first time in your life, you stop asking, "How can I work harder?" Instead, you ask a completely different question. How did he build something that works, even when he's not working? You don't realize it yet, but that single question is about to change your entire life forever. The next morning, you arrive at work an hour early, not because your boss asked you to, because you want answers. You start watching everything, not the customers, not the shelves, the owner. He doesn't lift heavy boxes. He doesn't clean the floor. He doesn't stand behind the counter all day. Instead, he solves problems. He decides what products to buy. He negotiates prices. He knows exactly which items make money and which ones waste space. That's when you realize something. The hardest worker isn't always the highest paid. The person who creates value usually earns the most. That idea refuses to leave your mind. Every night after work, instead of going straight to bed, you begin reading old business books, free articles online, anything you can borrow, anything you can learn. You don't have money for college, so you build your own education, one page at a time, one video at a time, one lesson at a time. Months turn into years. You're 18 now. You finally save your first $1,000. It took years. Every overtime shift, every holiday, every sacrifice. You stare at the money. You could buy a better phone, new clothes, a motorcycle. For the first time in your life, you can actually afford them. But then, you remember your father's hands, your mother's tears, the leaking roof. You make a different decision. You don't spend the money. You invest it. Not in stocks, not in crypto, in yourself. You buy a second-hand laptop. It isn't fast. The battery barely lasts an hour. But to you, it feels like owning the future. Every evening, you learn new skills: marketing, sales, negotiation, basic accounting, how businesses grow, how customers think, how successful people solve problems. Nobody forces you. Nobody gives you homework. You simply become obsessed. A year later, an opportunity appears. A local cafe needs someone to manage their social media. You've never done it before, but you tell them you can. Your hands shake during the meeting. They ask for experience. You don't have any. They ask for results. You don't have those either. All you have is confidence, and somehow, they give you a chance. Your first month is terrible. Almost nobody follows the page. Sales don't increase. You think about quitting. Then you remember something your father once told you. If you quit every time life becomes difficult, life will always stay difficult. So you keep learning. You test different ideas, different photos, different promotions, different ways of speaking to customers. Slowly, something changes. More people begin visiting the cafe. Sales increase. The owner smiles for the first time. At the end of the month, he pays you a bonus. Not because you worked longer, because you created results. That feeling is addictive. Soon, another small business hears about you. Then another, then another. Within 2 years, you're helping 5 different businesses grow. For the first time in your life, you earn more from your knowledge than from your physical labor. Your parents notice the difference. Your father no longer worries every night. Your mother starts smiling more often. You finally repair the roof. You replace the old furniture. The house isn't luxurious, but it finally feels like a home. Most people would stop there. A stable income, a comfortable life, enough to survive. But something inside you whispers, you're only getting started. One night, you open your notebook. On the first page, you write one sentence. If I can help 5 businesses, why not 500? That single sentence becomes the beginning of your first real company. You spend the next 6 months planning, not building, planning. Most people are in a hurry to launch. You're in a hurry to understand. You study businesses that failed. You study businesses that became giants. One pattern keeps appearing. The companies that solve expensive problems make the most money. So instead of creating another small marketing agency, you build something businesses actually need, a system that helps them find more customers and increase sales. Your first office isn't really an office. It's a tiny room above an old repair shop. One desk, 2 chairs, a whiteboard hanging slightly crooked, and one employee, your best friend. Neither of you knows whether this company will survive 6 months, but both of you believe it deserves a chance. The first few weeks are brutal. You send hundreds of emails. You make dozens of phone calls every day. Most people ignore you. Some hang up immediately. Others laugh. "We already have someone. We're not interested. You guys are too small." Every rejection feels personal, but every no teaches you something. Then, after nearly 3 months, a medium-sized company agrees to work with you. It's the biggest client you've ever had. You barely sleep that night. You spend the next several weeks working harder than ever before, not because you have to, because failure is no longer an option. The campaign succeeds. The client's revenue grows faster than anyone expected. A month later, they recommend you to another company, then another, then another. For the first time, your business starts growing without you chasing every customer. Reputation begins doing the work. 3 years later, your team has grown from 2 people to 40. The tiny office is gone. Now you have an entire floor inside a modern office building. You hire people who are smarter than you, better designers, better engineers, better salespeople. You finally understand something that changes everything. A great company isn't built by one brilliant person. It's built by dozens of talented people moving in the same direction. By the age of 32, your company earns its first $1 million in profit. The celebration lasts one evening. The next morning, you're back at work because you've learned another lesson. Making your first million is exciting. Keeping it is much harder. Instead of buying luxury cars, you buy more businesses. Instead of showing your success, you reinvest it. Every dollar becomes another employee, another product, another opportunity. People around you don't understand. Why are you still working? Why don't you enjoy your money? They think you've become obsessed with wealth, but they're wrong. You're obsessed with building. Money is simply the scoreboard. 5 years pass. Your company expands into different countries. New offices open, different languages, different cultures, different markets. The risks become bigger. So do the rewards. Then, the biggest opportunity of your life appears. A struggling technology company is about to go bankrupt. Everyone else sees a disaster. You see potential. You invest almost everything you've built. Friends tell you not to do it. Experts call it too risky. For weeks, you wonder if they're right. If this fails, you could lose nearly everything. But you've learned something most people never do. The biggest opportunities often look terrifying before they look obvious. You take the risk. The first year is painful. Nothing goes according to plan. The second year, things begin improving. The third year, the company becomes profitable. The fourth year, it explodes. Customers arrive from around the world. Investors start calling you, not because you need them, because they want to be part of what you've built. Then one quiet morning, your chief financial officer walks into your office. He places a report on your desk. You read the number once, then twice, then a third time. Your total net worth has officially crossed $1 billion. You don't celebrate. You simply sit there, silent. The memories return all at once. The leaking roof, your father's broken hands, your mother's empty dinner plate, the plastic bag that carried your school books, the tiny grocery store, your first paycheck, the second-hand laptop. Every failure, every rejection, every sleepless night, every sacrifice, they all led here. That evening, instead of buying something expensive, you drive back to the neighborhood where everything began. Most of the old houses are still there. Children are still running through the same dusty streets. Workers are still leaving before sunrise, just like your father once did. You step out of the car. Nobody recognizes you. And somehow, you like it that way. You quietly walk toward your childhood home. The roof no longer leaks. The walls have been rebuilt. Your parents are sitting outside together, older now, slower, but smiling. Your father looks at you with the same proud smile he had after every long day of work. Only this time, his hands are finally resting. You realize something that no billionaire ranking will ever measure. Success was never about becoming richer than everyone else. It was about giving the people you love a life they never thought was possible. Because in the end, the greatest investment you ever made wasn't your first company. It wasn't your biggest deal. It wasn't even your billion-dollar business. It was the decision you made as a poor child to never let your circumstances decide your future. And that decision changed everything.